Welcome back to Everyone, a podcast about celebrating storytelling. We talk movies, TV shows, video games, and beyond. And this week we are continuing our review and recap of Avatar: The Last Airbender Season 1 with episodes 11 through 20. Daniel, hello. We're also joined by our good friend and Avatar expert, Logan Baker. Logan, welcome back. How's it going?
Good. Doing well.
Sweet. Daniel, I see you were sporting our podcast merch, which I appreciate.
Yes, or whatever we want, sweatshirt.
I'm sporting a...
that I'm coughing into. Sorry about that.
I'm sporting a Water Tribe themed tie-dye shirt. This is my representing for water, book 1. Here we go.
Jake is the ocean spirit.
I am. Yeah, I'm like the big Unagi Godzilla monster. They actually called it, we'll get there, but Koizilla in the on the storyboards.
Nice. Fair.
But anyways, I kind of want to, if you guys are down, we can recap last week's ranking really quick of our first 10 episodes, just kind of to see where we stood with everything as a refresher. So I've got it all written down. So Daniel, your top episode was episode 8, Winter Solstice Part 2, Roku, followed by Warriors of Kyoshi, episode 4. Then after that, you had 2 tied with the same ranking. You had Avatar Returns, which is episode 2, and then The King of Omashu, episode 5, both tied for 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Then the Waterbending Scroll you had as your number 5 slot. Below that, you had Jet. Below that, you had the Southern Air Temple. Below that, you had the Winter Solstice Part 1, the Spirit World. Below that, you had The Boy in the Iceberg. And finally, you had Imprisoned.
Yeah,
and Logan, you basically had the very, very similar thing. You had Avatar Roku at the top, Warriors of Kyoshi. Then you had 3 tied for 3, 4, and 5. You had Avatar Returns, King of Omashu, and the Waterbending Scroll, all with the same score. Then you had Jet. Then you had the Spirit World, which is the Winter Solstice Part 1. Then the Boy in the Iceberg. Then the Southern Air Temple, and finally Imprisoned. I think we all had similar lists, but I had Avatar Roku, then Omashu, Kyoshi, Jet, Southern Air Temple, Spirit World, Avatar Returns, Waterbending Scroll, Boy in the Iceberg, and then Imprisoned. Just to recap.
We really did not like Imprisoned.
I mean, yeah. We all universally loved Roku, universally hated Imprisoned.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty good consensus.
Yeah.
Overall.
But yeah, we're going to continue this week where we're going to rank every episode out of 10 and then kind of give our overall final just thought of the season since we're recapping it. Yeah, you guys ready to jump into episode 11?
Yeah.
Let's
The Great
do it.
Divide.
The Great
Grand
Divide.
Canyon.
Gonna give Imprisoned a run for its money.
Great start.
I think this is universally known as the worst Avatar episode.
Really?
Pretty much all fans, I think, agree with that, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a filler episode. Daniel, don't change your score though. Or I mean, don't let your score be impacted.
No, I wasn't scoring it high anyway, because it's kind of the irony at the end of it anyway. It's Aang's in the beginning, he's like, oh yeah, words won't solve anything, action will. And at the end, he solves everything with a freaking lie.
True.
Just gaslit 2 tribes.
Yeah. This one does feel like a filler
It did
episode.
work, though.
Yeah. I feel like I kind of also at the end, we're going to talk about the Netflix trailer and what we think they'll keep and remove.
Yeah.
From the original.
This is
I feel like
probably
this
gonna
is
be
on
good.
the chopping block very much.
Yeah.
I could see them paying homage to it very briefly by
They fly over the
fly
canyon.
over-
Glad we don't have to
over it or
walk through
something.
that.
Man, that would suck to walk through.
Yeah, that'd be a funny little thing.
just skip the whole thing.
Hey, we won't be able to find food for a day.
Yeah.
How barren it is in there. But yeah.
I understand why people don't like this episode. It doesn't feel like it's actually progressing the main quest, which is what we talked about last week, where finally things were starting to get real and they were getting progress in the timeline, and then it kind of doesn't feel like progress is really being had here too much. I do like that it shows that the gang goes on adventures that maybe I don't know maybe aren't shown. Do you think that everything we see in Avatar is everything that happens, or do you think there's things?
No, there's time in between episodes, definitely.
Yeah, that was my question. All right, cool.
I think this episode has there's a very few redeeming qualities, but it's kind of just more character development is the only real thing that we see here, where Aang is both supposed to be the leader and supposed to be kind of above and outside of the rest of
Yeah.
everyone,
Mhm.
all of the people. Like he doesn't really fit in, which is shown very clearly in the one episode or the part of the episode where they're both camping out at night,
Right. And he's
um,
like in between them.
just kind of
With Appa and the
almost
old
sad
guy.
that he's alone. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that
Yeah.
reflects his entire place in the world, like having lost 100 years and also being the Avatar. He's quite literally like the only person that can bend four elements, so he's unique on his own in that sense. But also he's a man of the past, like out of his own time. That's also separating him, like a layer of separation between him and the people of this world.
And he really doesn't even have a people
Yeah,
anymore.
Yeah.
True.
His people were wiped out. So that was a sad moment, and it does kind of reflect Aang's situation a bit. But then it's like a really weird turn 180 where he comes back and lies at the end of the episode and does his like trickster happy-go-lucky thing, and it's like it throws you for a loop. I think that's part of why people aren't as big of a fan.
I do like the design of the creatures that they like are fighting.
They are scary.
The like crocodile whatever like spider things.
Yeah.
I thought those were pretty cool. You know what? Maybe this is a good chance. I don't really have much else to say about this episode. I do want to ask if you guys could be any bender, what bender would you be?
wanted to ask that last time actually, but I was like, I was going a bit long. So.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Should we answer based on what bender we'd want to be, or what bender we think we
do first you'd
like,
want to be, and then maybe we can tell each other what we think the other people would be, like as an outsider, like looking at your personality or whatever. So Daniel, what do you think? What would you want to be?
See, this is tough because it's all on different levels. Like you're manipulating matter at different aspects, right? So like airbenders, they can like gaseous like things, right?
Daniel, yes, we understand bending.
I'm just saying. So I'm thinking about it
What
like that aspect. So,
bender?
like, which one has like the most utility?
Oh, okay.
And I feel like the most utility would either be air or earth.
Okay.
But given all the stuff we see Aang do, I feel like I'd love to be an airbender just for the freedom and the ability to have that kind of agility. I think that'd be really cool to have.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Logan, what would you want to be?
I'm kind of torn a little bit, which might be surprising to you guys, but I also agree that I'd love to be an airbender, partly because I'm a aerospace engineer and that like not needing a plane to go flying would be cool.
Yeah.
Being able to do it on your own would be kind of neat. But I also really like water. I don't know, it speaks to me a little bit as well. I'm curious to see what you guys think.
Okay. We'll get, but just I think I personally would want to be Earth. Like I've always wanted to be Earth. I like book 2 Earth the most, but like I think it's so cool that you can just like you could make like a table and chair out of like Earth and you just never need to have another seat like ever. Which is just so cool and just but
think about how to be lazy with it. That's
no, but also just like the power of it and like I just think it's and also I feel like there's like Earth. I mean, I guess this excuse doesn't really make sense because there's air everywhere, but like there's Earth all around you, like on the ground and stuff, and like there's always an abundance of Earth. So maybe I'm swayed because I don't see a ton of airbending because the airbenders were wiped out in the show. So I'm like, oh, the Earth Kingdom's the most powerful because there's so much Earth all around. And I guess the firebenders can generate their own fire, but I just felt like, I don't know, like you can make structures out of Earth, I think a lot more easily than like in like the water tribes are confined to like the North and South poles because that's where like ice is most prominent and can like maintain and not melt. But like the Earth Kingdom, like on the map, is like the largest area because there's Earth everywhere. You can like expand, and I really like Earth a lot. All right, but let's go through what we think the other people would be. I think Logan. Let's start with Daniel since he went first. What do you think Daniel would be? I have my idea.
I have a feeling I know what Jake's gonna say for me.
I think you do.
I think air makes some sense, but I could also see fire a little bit.
I think Daniel's firebender. He's
You guys
so
think I'm
hot-headed.
I'm decisive and I'm direct. And
Yeah,
things,
exactly.
You know, when I'm coding something and things don't go my way, I get a little cranky sometimes. You know.
Yeah, that's why I think fire. I think you would be a firebender based on your personality. All right, Daniel, what do we think
get hangry. For Logan?
For Logan, I agree with what Logan said. Like, I feel like he has like the serenity to that he could be like an air nomad and could like have like meditate and be like a monk. But also, I originally did think water for him because I think I
was thinking water as well. It's the discipline of it.
Yeah, the discipline and like the very like the flowing nature of like being in tune with yourself, I guess. I felt like that spoke to me with Logan. So I think you could be either. I'm leaning towards water personally for you, Logan.
I'm also, for his personality, I'm leaning towards water. He's just
I
a
think
chill,
that
goes with
makes
flow
sense,
kind of
yeah.
guy. Yeah.
So me and Daniel are perfect opposites.
Yeah.
And then
let
Jake
me-
here, that's the thing.
Oh, I think he's totally right with the earthbending.
Yeah,
I see
he
it
kind of
totally.
is. Yeah.
Like it's
Sweet.
it's yeah, that's pretty.
Yeah. It's on point. It's just your personality fits with it. Like you're sturdy.
Okay.
Sturdy with it.
I have
the strong stance.
Thanks. I have a video that's I was recording Daniel. He didn't know I was recording him, and someone asked Evan asked
Evan.
Daniel what his first impression of what Daniel's first impression of Evan was, and Daniel, without missing a beat, was like sturdiness. And I was like, what? Like that's your first impression of someone? Which is also why I think you're Firebender, because you just went there like decisive, like yes. All right,
I do that a lot, I think.
let's rank the Great Divide. Now we've waffled on for a bit.
I'm gonna say for me, it's probably gonna be like a 2 or 3. Like you still get your moments in there, but it's like, eh.
Sure. Because I think it's the worst of the entire series, I'm gonna give it a 1, just because
All right,
we gotta have a 1
that's true.
to set the low end.
I don't know. Like I there are like some redeeming qualities to it. So I feel bad like giving anything a 1 just because I know so many people like worked hard on it. So I personally am gonna give this a 4. And I know that maybe like skews my scale personally, since that is probably gonna be my bottom, but I still think there are good elements to it. And I hate just like diminishing all of that. So I'm gonna give it a 4.
Yeah.
Oh, I
That's
fully
fair.
agree that there's got a lot of
Yeah.
good elements in it, but yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I'm trying to.
Yeah, I know
set
you're
the low
being
end.
like legit and objective about
Yeah.
this, and I'm just like, no, I'm messing the system up. Anyways, next episode, The Storm, episode 12. This is the one with like all the flashbacks to
All the
Aang and
PTSD.
Zuko's,
Yeah.
story. I personally really like this episode, especially after
Agreed.
the last one.
Maybe they were setting it up. They knew.
Yeah,
They're like,
this one's gonna be a
we
banger.
just want to make this next one look so good.
Yeah. I feel like this one also like it could be written off as just like a big exposition episode, but I think it's done in a very like tasteful way that helps you and also the other characters like appreciate the
Understand
pasts
more about
of our
each other.
protagonists. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like Zuko's crew learns more about him through Iroh telling the story around the fire, and then Katara kind of understands where Aang's coming from a little more deeply. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty big episode. Zuko's Agni Kai with his father. Yeah, I mean, that's a tragic backstory.
I love the way that they go about doing the backstories and doing the flashbacks, where it's not, it's only like a few minutes at a time.
Yeah.
In small chunks, and they go back and forth and show the parallelism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or not parallelism.
The
but
parallels between the two stories.
yeah, between Zuko and Aang, they really put them right up against each other and are clearly, I don't know if they're alluding to it, but they are giving us a reason to root for Zuko to be redeemed.
Yeah.
Down the road.
Yeah. And even if you like audiences don't pick up on that, like I still think a compelling villain is someone you can understand how they got there and how they were driven to be the person they are and make the decisions that they do. And this very much, in my opinion, helps justify, or like at least helps the audience understand how Zuko got to where he is. We also see a little Easter egg. We see Azula like very eagerly and like very excitedly watching her brother get burned by her father. That's like kind of crazy.
Yeah.
She is a psychopath, though.
Yeah. I do have a question about this episode. How like does the old lady find Katara and Aang in the cave, like on the mountain in the storm? Because like Aang flew up there with his glider. Katara rode Appa up there, barely made it up there in the storm. And then after they're done telling the story, the old lady like has hiked up the mountain somehow and found them. I don't know.
Maybe she just saw Appa fly in there and she's like, man, that's a pretty snug fit. Maybe you should go help him out.
Maybe, yeah.
I mean, she was desperate. It was her husband, right? That was
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
So she's probably like worried, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Got the superhuman strength.
Yeah, we also learn a bit more. We see like the flashback with like Monkey Atso and just learn about like how Aang. It's kind of crazy if you think about it because Aang like ran away and then went underwater and froze and then in his mind no time really passed, then emerged, and all of these adventures has happened. So this has been like a crazy like couple weeks for Aang, like all of this happening like at the same time
And learning about the history that happened
yeah
in all that
Yeah.
time that he was frozen.
yeah also this is the first episode that Iroh redirects lightning for the first time like on screen
Yeah,
at
yeah.
least. Like that's just so sick, man. Like that's so cool.
That's just badass.
And speaking of the parallels, I like the parallel of Aang getting tossed underwater, like once they get all of the people off of the ship, like Sokka and the fishermen, and because he's here with his friends, instead of going into like self-preservation mode, he actually like saves them this time.
Yeah.
I just think it's cool.
I was gonna say when they pop back out and fly above Zuko in the
Zuko?
boat, and he's
Yeah.
like, "Let him go.
Yeah,
we need to like
keep the crew
take
safe.
a moment."
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I
Which is
love that
really good.
realization by him where he's just like, hey, like, these lives are important.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just about, like, full throttle all the time. He's getting into realization of that balance. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I think when he says like the crew's lives don't matter at the beginning of the episode, he's like being a little bit of a hothead teenager type of thing where he's blowing up and he's angry. And then
Angry.
I don't think he ever really meant it, and it's made
No.
pretty clear when he like climbs the tower, saves the
Yeah.
helmsman and stuff like that. He does really care. So it was shown though. That's the greatest part. It's shown rather than told, and it lets the audience interpret
Yeah.
it, which is great.
Yeah. Show don't tell.
I mean, it's really a projection of himself when he first said it, because I feel like he was saying, like,
He doesn't care about his own life.
own health or safety. He
Yeah.
only cares about his honor and
He'll do
getting his
anything.
goal.
Yeah, in his mind to get it back, and he's kind of learning that maybe that's not the most important thing. Is my father's approval. That's kind of his journey. I also just like the overall lesson of this is about like not getting hung up on the past and like what could have been, but like focus on what you can do and work on to accomplish now to change things. And I think that's just such a good lesson for a kids show. Like, what? All right, what's everyone's rankings for this episode?
Look, what do you think?
I gave this one an 8.5.
All right, nice, Daniel.
I think it's really well up there.
I had it 8.1. I say that like I knew it
I had
beforehand. I literally
8.1
just gave it
too.
that.
I have 8.1 too. I'm not copying you, Daniel. I already had it written down.
Nice.
But anyways, next episode we got the Blue Spirit.
Yes.
I like this one,
I
dude.
love this episode, dude.
This is like, oh my gosh, man. Logan, you have with you like the art book, the Art of Avatar
Yeah.
book that has a lot of cool info about this the Blue Spirit, right?
Yeah, I mean it goes into the original drawings that they came up with and the artwork that they
Yeah, I think it was
had.
originally supposed to be red, right?
It was.
I think I was reading in that it was going to be red, but then it looked too much like a Korean Spider-Man, so they changed it.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
that's funny.
it's modeled after like legitimate masks that are found in history
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
It's not just they came out.
And they like streamlined the design a bit so it would work better in the Avatar animation style.
Exactly, yeah. I love the fact that Zuko is a master really at the broadswords.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you clearly see that he's practiced really hard and that was what he did to basically level the playing field with Azula, who has always been his better at fire.
Right.
So he went and did other forms
Combat.
of martial art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He learned from the same master that Sokka learned from, correct?
Oh, really? I don't know.
I think he did.
That makes
I
sense
believe.
and would be so cool.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, I had no idea either.
That was his original master. So
I wonder if maybe in the next show, because I know the original creators are doing like a new show, it would be cool to see just like Sokka and Zuko spar like with swords and just see how that would work when they're like not like, because I think the show takes place in when they're in their 20s, so maybe to like keep fresh they train each other. I think that'd be really cool.
That'd be dope.
that make a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah. But so this episode, it kind of like, in my opinion, is like a very good episode, and it's not like a finale or anything, but originally it could have been the finale. Like the original order for Avatar: The Last Airbender that Nickelodeon picked up was they only picked up Avatar for 13 episodes. So they knew this could be their last one. So when they were developing it before they knew if it would continue, they were like, we have to make this one like as good as possible, like because this could be, but while also fitting into the overall story, but this could be like the last one we get to make.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because Brian and Mike were the ones that actually wrote this episode.
Yeah.
They themselves wrote it, and then Dave Filoni was the director. So they brought in their biggest gun for the director.
Yeah. Their biggest gun.
Their best man.
But Commander Zhao becomes Admiral Zhao here, and he gets those crazy archers. Yeah. I wonder if
the Yu Yang archers.
Yeah, the Yu Yang archers. And then Sokka and Katara both get very sick. I get why they had to do that to them to like get them on the sidelines. But
Momo was just being a Momo.
Yeah.
The whole time.
I do want to ask so Aang doesn't bring his staff on this adventure he goes on to try to get like the medicine, and it's because he sees one bolt of lightning and he's like, oh, it's gonna storm. So like it makes sense why he wouldn't fly, but I think he should have at least brought the staff with him, like for safety reasons. So I'm giving this reason a 3 out of 10 for why he didn't have his staff this episode.
I think that's fair, but I also understand him not wanting to fly in the storm after just having gotten off of the last episode. They got out of the storm. So
I'll give it like
a 4.
For excuse.
Maybe 5.
Yeah.
All right.
It's like a mid-excuse.
He's traumatized, after that last one.
I do like also, I mean, the fact that Katara and Sokka are out of commission is kind of interesting because it's the first time we see Aang truly on his own and gets into like a very bad situation, is captured legitimately by the Fire Nation. And to see like how he handles that kind of on his own, even though Zuko then comes in and saves him. And apparently like just going back to the sword choreography, a real swordsman like reacted to this and like criticized the choreography of Zuko like after the fact, like not while they were working the show. And he said that the animators did like a really good job of animating like how someone would actually fight using this particular like type of swords, especially like how they would use it against like spears when they're like in the courtyard fighting against those Fire Nation soldiers.
That's dope.
I love when Aang is captured and Commander or Admiral Zhao. Sorry Zhao. When Admiral Zhao comes in and Aang is like posturing like, I'll fight you right here, right now.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I don't want to do that. He's like, you're the Avatar. Why would I do that?
And he still knocks him on his butt.
Yeah. So that was just a funny moment of like Zhao arguably being smart in that situation and not trying to
Zhao is
beat
often
the Avatar.
Pretty strategic and intelligent. I think, and we'll see in the Deserter that not all the time, but in most of the early cases he's like pretty smart. Like
His biggest problem is his ego.
That is true.
Yeah.
He probably is, because he's so smart, that's probably why they promoted him to Admiral from Captain in like the span of 2 months or something.
Yeah.
He flew up the ranks.
Yeah. I also really like the musical cue that the Blue Spirit has. It's just like I think it's again the musicians like using interesting like unique new instruments. I don't know, it's just it like has this like really eerie sense to it that I really personally like there's a horn, I don't know, it's just good.
I don't think when I was originally watching it, I don't think I knew, like obviously it's revealed at the end that the Blue Spirit is in fact Zuko, but I don't think I ever suspected that during the episode up until the reveal at the end of the episode, which is kind of impressive. Like I didn't know who it was or what was gonna come save him, but that was a interesting twist at the end that really caught me off guard originally.
I forget. I honestly, it's been so long, I forget. I would like to think that like I think in the beginning I had no idea, and then like towards the end maybe I was starting to get like an inkling, but I probably didn't. I probably also had no idea. But I think it's a really cool like surprise, and again showing that Zuko's even willing to go against his own country to try to
accomplish his goals.
So he can be the one to bring the Avatar in, which is very, very interesting, his motives. I personally really like just how everything was choreographed in this. Like the escape scene, I think is very fun. Like Aang airbending while Zuko's like fighting with his swords. I also like that as soon as like Zhao's like, we need him alive, like the Avatar alive, like Zuko immediately puts his swords up to Aang's throat and is like, all right, like I can play this game too. Like he's just being strategic with it, like using every asset he can
smart.
get to get out of there. It also is. This is the first episode that kind of plants the seed of Aang and Zuko working together. That they work together well as a team, which like sets up later in book 3 when they ultimately team up.
Aang looked really sad at the end when he asked whether or not they could be friends if there was another time, or another place, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And Zuko immediately shot a fireball.
Yeah.
after
Cast
having been
fireball.
saved by Aang, that was like kind of a dick move, but understand.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really have much else to say about this episode. I really personally like it. You guys have rankings for this one? I think Daniel should go first. Go on a whim.
9 point either 4 or 6.
I'm gonna give you 9.5 then.
Yeah.
I'll give
what
it a
about
9
you?
even.
9. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I gave it an 8.5. I still think I like the Roku episode a little more, just all encompassing, like with the air battle, and then that's why I'm putting it there. Because
I
I
get
had
that.
Roku at 9. All right. Next episode, we've got the Fortuneteller. This is the one where there's the volcano at the end and like the fortune teller lady.
Yeah.
And they talk. I don't think I liked this one as a kid as much. I remember not liking it as much because it was all about like love and it was really focusing on like the Katang relationship, which again I wanted to have happen, but like I was a kid and I wanted action too. And it like the first like third of this episode is like Aang just like wanting to kiss Katara basically. And Aang gets friend zoned by Katara as well in this episode.
Yeah,
just like,
brutally.
Like, little brother. I was like, oh, good friend.
Just like Momo. See, he got pet zone, dude.
Yeah, for real. We also see a platypus bear this episode. This is the first platypus bear, I think.
I love that dude that's like absolutely nonchalant. He's just dodging the platypus
Yeah.
bear like a beast.
He's like, it's okay.
He's just not even worried.
Yeah. I do like the lesson overall of this episode where it's like, I think the fortune teller lays it out at the end, but like basically it's just like, don't believe that your future is laid
Like
out
set in stone.
and blindly believe that it's set. Like you determine your own destiny, which applies not just to Aang with love, but also with like Sozin's comet and like his whole destiny, like to defeat the Fire Lord, which goes to the very end. He's been told his destiny is to kill the Fire Lord, and he's like, no, I'm not accepting that, and he changes it and takes his bending away. He finds another way. So I mean, this is huge foreshadowing and life lesson for the finale to the show, which I think is very, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, what's the girl's name? Mang? Is that the girl
Mang.
that has a crush on Aang? She's the same voice actress as Toph. Before she was hired as Toph.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yeah, they liked her so much they brought her back.
Yeah, which I think is pretty sick. Also, she's playing very different characters. She's playing a simp and then like the anti-simp on the next season.
She just beats up Aang over and over.
Yeah.
In the next season.
In her next life, she's like, "You didn't love me in my previous life. I'm gonna make your life living torture."
I did really enjoy at the very end when Aang, like the actual action part of this.
Yes,
one,
me too.
When Aang is
fighting a volcano,
he beats the volcano, which is again
like
something that Roku did not do.
That's true.
Aang was able to do it with his airbending, actually.
He does his airbending, but also I think it's also because Aang has, which is a big theme of the whole show, is that like Aang has a support group. Like he has, he has Sokka and Katara, and then because of them, they get the whole town on board. So it's again kind of showing like you don't have to do everything alone, which is a big theme of Avatar. And they work together, and I mean ultimately it is Aang that saves the day at the end because of his freaking powerful bending. I love that moment. Yeah, just very cool.
Was it Sokka who came up with the idea of bending the clouds, or was that, I forget who came up with that idea? But it sounds like a Sokka idea.
Yeah, it might have been, but I thought it was Aang. Maybe that was like it's like
no,
water
I thought it was Aang.
Water and air. We can control these Katara, and she was like, yeah. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Either way, it was a really clever idea to basically use the fortune teller rather than going against her. Yeah.
Yeah.
So use her to persuade.
Use their blind trust in her. Yeah.
And the funny thing, when they did end up saving the town, the one townsman or whatever that was like well, she was right.
Yeah.
The town is safe. And
Yeah.
Sokka's
yeah.
just like, oh my gosh.
What do you rank this episode, Daniel?
I'm gonna give this 5.2.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
To me, it felt more fillery. Like it was
I think
not
this-
really
I think
going
this was a big
with the
episode
main
'cause
plot. But
Sorry.
no, I was just saying it didn't really, like it was.
Yeah. I disagree because I think this is the first time it plants a seed in Katara's mind that Aang could be more than just a friend. And I think that's a big moment in the show.
So you're
Where
there
did
for
you
the
rank it?
relationship stuff.
What'd you say, Luke?
What did you end up ranking it?
I said 7 out of 10 because again, I didn't like a lot of the lovey stuff in the very beginning, but then I think the volcano stuff at the very end and like the overall lesson and how it foreshadows to
One
the end of the
powerful
show is
bender.
really good.
Yeah,
That is true, yeah.
that's true.
I put it down as a 3.
Oh my goodness!
I just don't think it holds up to a lot of the other episodes in this
All right.
in this book and in the whole series as a
I feel like I'm the middle ground between you guys.
You are. That's how math works. 5.2 is pretty close between 3 and
Dead
7,
even.
Daniel.
Well, no, I mean like not just with this one, but like with other ones that we've done that we've
It
gauged.
sounds very not firebender of you.
Yeah.
So
maybe,
in the air.
maybe Daniel's the avatar.
Yeah.
He's the bridge between everyone.
I'm not sure if I'm too spiritual enough for that.
All right. Next episode is Bato of the Water Tribe. This is the one where they, I mean, you guys know, they meet, what's his face? Bato from the Water Tribe. It's in the title there.
Oh my goodness.
I feel like there's a Watto joke somewhere in there.
Watto of the Water Tribe.
Hey, wonga wonga!
Hey, me
Here's my slave kid.
Angie. Instead of Annie.
Yeah, yeah, it works. But yeah, no, this one was good. I really liked I liked and also didn't like the conflict with, like the gang and like them. Like they're already
Yeah.
like your family, and then instantly as soon as they're like, I mean, Aang only held on to it for like an afternoon.
Yeah.
They're like,
It
yeah,
does make sense though. They are young. They're like
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
So you can kind of understand why.
Yeah, I
you
don't
would do it.
I don't really blame. I personally think that Sokka and Katara overreact a little bit, like where they're just like, we're leaving, we're going to see our family. Like I do make sense. I understand why they're doing that because they want to see their dad. But I have more of an issue with how Aang acts in this one. Like he acts so selfish and childish, and it just seems like
yeah,
almost a little too out of character from like what we've seen in the past. And I do understand that he's a kid, and I do understand like the motive behind it, and it totally makes sense because Aang lost his entire people and everyone he's known and loved, and now the two people that he's letting in for the first time and that are becoming a new family to him are like, feels like in his mind are being torn away. It makes sense why he would want to protect that, but I don't like the way he does it, just because like I don't know, it's so selfish. And yeah, like if he stayed for one more second in that tent, he would have heard Sokka revealed a very important piece of information that is like, well, we would never leave Aang, but he left. So it's like just a little convenient. I don't know. What do you think, Logue?
I think I like it almost because of the fact that of all the points you mentioned, where it's it is showing a little bit of a character flaw in Aang
That's true. Yeah.
that he has to overcome, and trusting his companions and stuff like that. So
That's a very good point.
I liked it because it shows the flaw rather than in spite of it.
Okay. Interesting.
but guys, we're missing the big thing in this episode.
June.
Mommy. Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she just.
Iroh would agree with you.
Yeah, no, dude, he was on. He was making some moves.
Also, June is arm wrestling that character from Street Fighter, just like out of the
Yeah.
blue, which is kind of cool.
And whoops his ass, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't even close.
I do like how they tackled the anteater thing, like how they tackle his like smell-o-vision, like how they visually represent like how it's like kind of like really, there's a lot of noise and grain on the footage, and it's black and white except for like these like colored trails of like smell. I think that's a really unique way to like visualize a creature that can't see in a visual medium. I think that's a cool way that they did that.
One thing that I'm scared about is, imagine finding like a pack of those in the wild.
Oh my
Like, that was a
gosh.
tamed one. Imagine that's what I'm saying, dude. Imagine finding those in the wild. That you'd be done.
Well, yeah.
I think the character or the creators actually pointed out that the sheer shrew is not necessarily like a bad animal. It was June that basically
Oh,
trained
Oh.
him or
that's
her
horrible.
into
That's a horrible
being
thought.
like an attack dog type of
Oh my
animal
gosh.
where it does the stingy tongue
Yeah, the paralyzed.
whiplash
Yeah.
thing, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's June that kind of gave the animal her philosophy and trained and forced it into working for her. And you can kind of see that as well, like in the episode.
Dami
There's-
mommy.
Like, cause she whips him like a couple times to like make him attack
Yeah.
harder.
like
Logan, I saw that cough there.
when when she's not in control at the end there and in the fight, she has to like really wrestle back control to get him to
Yeah.
to go back and to fight. So it's not necessarily like they're inherently evil animals. I believe that was the intent of the episode. Like,
Interesting.
they didn't want the animal to be evil; it was the person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I
Which
got
is-
that.
A good
Yeah.
theme.
Yeah, June can be evil to me. So
I do want to point out real
Yeah.
quick. Ever since that episode from when I was a kid, that's basically how I imagined dogs like smell the world, more or less. Like
Oh,
a
yeah?
semi version of that.
that's interesting.
Like like a bloodhound like tracking or something like that. I imagine them almost seeing the
Wow, like this the
Betrayal.
trail.
I don't know why. Yeah, that's just how I imagined it ever since I was a kid, because that was the first time it was ever visualized for
Yeah,
me.
that's
Yeah.
so
And I just
interesting
took
that that
that.
had such a
Yeah.
core like.
It still happens, so
Impact.
it's
Yeah.
wild.
That's cool because they just created that. Like, that's cool.
It's a really clever way of showing it. Like
Yeah.
like
Oh,
you
yeah.
guys were pointing out.
I also like, just speaking of the creature in that final battle, like when they're in like the courtyard before they spill all the perfumes. But like Appa versus that creature was sick, and Appa
Cool.
like
Yeah.
freaking just takes like 4 whips before he goes down, like 4 paralyzing shots, and before he like is finally like collapses. But like Appa's just a beast, man. Like
Yeah.
that was cool.
Yeah.
The fight between Aang and Zuko in the courtyard is also really,
Yeah.
really, really well done. Like
Yeah.
phenomenal choreography on that one.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of the episodes where the Bagua aspect of airbending actually really comes out. When
Oh, yeah?
specifically on the well.
Yeah.
Remember, he was basically dodging
Right.
and
Oh, yeah.
doing the circular pattern, which is the inherently Bagua like aspect that they were trying to perform and show.
That's cool.
So that was a really cool. I like rewatching that, knowing that
Like
was
the origins.
that was the intent.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think it really came out well in this episode.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We also had before this, sorry, but Sokka like does the ice dodging thing, which is cool that he finally gets to do that. I really like, just I've talked about this before in terms of like pacing out a fight scene, but I like how Avatar also like gives moments to breathe between like all the action. Like if they come from action to action to action, like it can feel a lot like very overwhelming for an audience. So it's usually good practice to like pace it out. And I like how Iroh was kind of like a vessel for that in this. Like whenever like you cut to like Aang and Zuko fighting, or like June and the creature versus Appa or something like that, and then you cut to Iroh who's like stealing perfume, for a second. Like that's pretty funny, and I like that.
That's another time where he's not actively involved
Yeah.
in fighting.
Yeah.
Especially
Just stealing.
against Aang. Yeah. He's just being almost like a trickster himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like, also speaking of Iroh, how dramatic he gets when June gets whipped and starts to fall, and he's like, no! Like the reverb on that, and then he catches it. Like, oh my gosh, it's so funny.
Zuko's like, I didn't see you
I
get
didn't see you get
paralyzed.
stung.
Yeah.
She fully knows, but she
Oh,
can't do
yeah.
anything. So he's
It's a little
being a little, yeah. That's all right. You know, he's a
All
old
right.
man. He's not doing anything too weird.
What do you guys rank
Hopefully.
this episode?
I have it down as a 8.0.
I was gonna say 8.2.
I had it low, like I had a 5.5, but I think I want to reassess because of everything you said. Like I think I was being too hard on Aang's character flaws. If I frame looking at it like it's an intentional character flaw that like that he has to get over. I do like that idea of it. In my mind still, it still felt a little like heavy-handed, but which I guess it is a kid's show. So I'm going to give my ranking, I'm going to bump it up to a 6.3.
That's fair. I can understand not liking that part or not liking how they went about doing
Yeah, like I like the idea of it, but I think
character
the execution was just for me, not for me personally, I guess.
Yeah.
It was. I could see it being a little heavy-handed, for sure.
Yeah. All right. Next episode is The Deserter. I hardly know her. This is the one where Aang starts learning firebending from Zhang.
This is a big episode.
Yeah,
It is.
he starts freaking learning firebending. I personally really like this episode. Just
Agreed.
gonna say that up top.
I also it always makes me hungry for fire flakes, dude.
Yeah, I do like just speaking of the Fireflakes and like they go to the Fire Days festival. I really like that we finally see a small piece of like the culture from some of the citizens of the Fire Nation, because all we've seen so far is just like their military force. Like I really like that.
Yeah.
We actually see some people, normal people in their population. And also I think it's interesting because I think this is in the Earth Kingdom that the Fire Nation has taken over. So I think you can kind of see in their architecture, like there's a lot of them are Earth Kingdom buildings, but have been like outfitted to fit the customs and cultures of the Fire Nation. So it's like an interesting like blend.
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting that they even thought about that, and then like we're seeing that represented. I think that's a really cool just idea that you don't really see in a kid's show, like a festival in like a taken over town from like a military like attack.
It's one of their colonies in the Earth Kingdom.
Colony. That's the word I was trying to describe.
I think they have quite a few colonies by this time in
Yeah.
the war, and we learned a little bit more, I think, about them in season 3. But in the episode at the beginning of the episode with the guy controlling the fire to make it look like a dragon, and doing all that, it was crazy to me because I didn't feel like he's really controlling the dragon like you would have to, unless you're like extremely skilled.
Right. Like you think he would have,
what
like he's just like kind of like grabbing this rope. You think like he would probably have to be like more
Like I feel like you would need a lot
planted.
more pronounced
like motions
and like the precision in which he's controlling it, and he's doing it all, unless it's someone like behind the scenes or something
like Wizard
that
of
that we
Oz
don't
kind of
see.
thing.
Yeah.
Oh, we did get like the
Like-
confetti or whatever after Aang like tore it up. So maybe it was some kind of contraption as well.
Yeah, maybe it was like a controlled firework or something. That was like
Yeah.
or like
Maybe.
a timed like show, like something. Yeah, that's a good point.
Maybe he can just kind of like
Set it
direct it,
off.
but it's not. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he has like a firecracker. He just has tied to like a rope basically, and he's dragging it around.
But that's like, I think the first time that we see firebending not used for
Yeah,
like warfare or something like that. It's
Yeah.
used for something cool.
and it's fitting that this episode would be the first time we see that firebending is not all bad again. And this also goes back to the themes of black and white. Like we see hints that like firebending doesn't have to be used for evil, that they're like, and we eventually with the sun tribe, sun warriors, whatever they're called, that like there's beauty in it. It's like fire is life and power and everything, and light. But
Yeah.
just going back to again the themes of not everything being black and white, you might be inclined up until this point to think that like all Fire Nation people are bad, but here we learn that like Zhang deserted, like he didn't agree with like the Fire Nation what they were doing, so he left and is like quote unquote like a good Fire Nation person,
Yeah.
I think that's interesting.
And even the townspeople aren't necessarily bad either.
Yeah,
They're
just living
kind
their
of-
life,
Just living.
They're- They're people.
living like Larry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're having a good old time at their festival thing. What was the festival for? Do you remember?
Was it
was
just the fire festival?
Fire
Wasn't
Days
that what it-
Festival is what it was called.
Okay. I don't know if it was like some sort of
Here comes the
full
sun.
moon or something. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't make sense if it's the moon, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, okay, the moon's out. We have to produce as much fire as possible to protect ourselves.
To counteract it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting also that Zhang like can tell just by the way that Aang carries himself that he has not mastered water and earth. I personally just really like Zhang as a character, and I think
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know, interesting. I think it's interesting that we see Aang actually like struggle with an element here for the first time, because he's kind of been picking up waterbending pretty easily, and he's already an airbending master. And I think I like the idea that like he's not just gonna waltz through mastering these elements like super easy willy-nilly. Like he's gonna have some challenges to get over, and he creates a challenge. Like mentally he doesn't want to firebend because he hurts his friend because of it in this episode, which I think is just a really interesting idea.
I liked when Roku came out and basically told Zhong that he was gonna teach Aang fire. He's like, I've done it before, I'll do it again. Like, and it goes to show you that even the Avatar spirit inside of it is not perfect either.
Right.
Like they weren't following the rules of
like doing it in order.
Yeah. And doing it as it had been. He was trying to skip steps, and I guess like the Roku was wrong in this case, which is
that's cool, because I feel like Roku was possibly like dangerously on track to become seen as this like omniscient like
prophetic
like god-like figure. And it's cool that like they kind of, the creators like knock him down a peg, like no, like come on, man. I also just like Zhong how he explains the philosophy of firebending, but right before that Roku scene where he talks about how like fire is the most destructive element, and that like water will flow and not harm anything, air doesn't do anything, a rock will not move if you don't touch it, but fire left out of control will just burn and destroy anything in its path. And it's also cool that reflects like that. I think it's cool that the creators of the show decided to make the Fire Nation the bad guys, because it's like Zhong said, like arguably the most destructive element, and that's like scary for a villain to be from that nation, you know?
Yeah.
And it alludes that they've lost control. Like, it wasn't necessarily always like that, but they lost control and became too ambitious, and now they're destroying everything.
Yeah.
In exactly the way that Zhong talked about.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, it's interesting to see like this philosophy that he has, and why he's not meant to teach Aang.
Yeah, I agree. Because I feel like I think Zuko, and ultimately like what they learned from like those Sun Warrior tribe, is like a very good like philosophy for Aang. And I feel like Zhong has almost gone too far and is too scared of the power of fire now. But he still has good ideas and core ideas. Like I think his first lesson when he does start teaching Aang, he says like focus on the power and the heat from the sun. And that's ultimately what Zuko and Aang learn to like use as like a source for their firebending.
Yeah.
The beauty of fire.
True.
So I think that's cool. Also the connection that Zhong has with Zhao, Admiral Zhao now, is interesting.
That was pretty interesting. I also think when Zhong Zhong talked to Katara after she got burned, and he was basically saying that firebending is a curse.
Yeah.
More than it's a ability.
Right.
It's a curse that he was given, and he wished that he had the ability to waterbend. Like you were saying, I don't think that's the right philosophy for
a teacher.
Yeah.
But
for a teacher
especially
in general,
for Aang.
for sure.
Yeah.
But
it's a great point.
When he was like enforcing the control aspect of it, which is good, but it then comes kind of back to bite Aang in later episode when he's learning firebending. He's almost too much control.
Yeah. He's too scared.
Let the fire get big enough to hold. So
right.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's a lesson in itself for the later episode, where like you can't let your past fears dictate. You have to like kind of let go or like move past that to grow. I also like how like Sokka kind of goes crazy as soon as Aang burns Katara. He like tackles him to the ground. I'm like, that's a good like big brother energy right there. And then Katara learns about healing. Like a lot happens this episode. Like Katara learns about her healing. Like this is a big episode. Yeah. I like it a lot. And then Zhao versus Aang at the end. I like that Aang takes the lessons and wins by not firing at all and just letting the power of fire like consume everything.
Yeah.
That was pretty
I thought you were gonna be like the boats. But
yeah.
But
it's crazy how much they were able to accomplish in 22 minutes. Like that's all the time they have for an episode. It's like this is a lot, man. Sorry, you were saying, Logan?
I was gonna say this almost felt like a slower episode too.
Yeah.
And it's a 22-minute episode.
I know.
Did you guys notice when Zhang was stopping the boats initially? Like he was warned that the boats were coming up the river, and he throws up the firewall.
That is sick and really
It is
OP.
so cool.
Well,
But that's the same exact move he uses in when they attack Ba Sing Se.
Yeah.
He does the firewall move, but he's doing it without Sozin's Comet. I just want to point that one out.
Crazy, yeah.
He is so powerful as a firebender.
Dude, no viruses are getting in that.
Yup. And then he just
Bad
disappears at the end.
Yeah, true.
I mean,
Just gonna gloss over the joke.
I want to say it's powerful, and it is because of the scale of it. But the thing is, I feel like it's more for show, to a degree. Because again, like Admiral Dookie Head.
Zhao?
I know it's Zhao. I just wanted to say something different. He he just walks through it, practically. So I feel like really if you are a bender, you could really just come up with any way to like get through it.
But it's not
You know
the
what I mean? 'Cause
boat
it, like,
getting there, though.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like if there's like something that's flammable, it will still stop it. But like, you know what I mean? Like if you're like,
I feel like that's
trying to get through.
any inflammable object is a good counter to firebending.
That's fair. That's fair.
I mean, Zhao's basically countering it. You see the same thing when, like the Agni Kai, for example.
Yeah, when Zuko tries to, or in the
Zuko's
final Agni Kai,
blasting him.
Yeah.
And Zhao is just like pulling it aside and pushing it. Or maybe it's Zhao.
I love the animation they do when like fire
disperses,
like firebenders disperses fire, and like the way the flames dissipate. I think that's such beautiful animation.
That takes so long to animate.
I know.
So well done.
It looks so
just
good.
Fire in general is so well done in this.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What do you guys rank this one?
I think I went first last time. So Logan, what you got?
I'll give it a 7.
I was gonna say like an 8 even.
I have 8.6. I love this episode, dude.
Why am I always in the middle of you two?
All right. Episode 17, The Northern Air Temple.
This is one of my favorite episodes. It's funny because Jake called me as he's getting out of work or something. No, wait,
I was leaving church. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, "Yeah, so you good for today or whatever?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm on the part where Aang is showing this crippled kid what he can do, and what can he do? Run,
runs. Yeah, that's kind of not cool, way.
Savagery.
So yeah, I just thought it was funny.
This kind of reflects also Bato of the Water Tribe, but I personally think this is good character writing where Aang, it totally makes sense why he's like shaken up and not accepting that these outsiders have, in his mind, like invaded his home and kind of like taken it over and changed everything, or just like destroying the ancient like murals and like for a bathhouse or something. And the fact that he's like not okay with that and kind of seems jaded at first. I actually might say that he kind of changes too quickly, maybe like that he's like all of a sudden accepting of it. But I do like the idea that like once he sees the spirit of these people and knows that they are good people and realizes that like, okay, well, no one else is going to be using this, that like he kind of accepts them into his old home, I guess.
Yeah.
To add on to that, the fact that he had just a small inkling of hope at the beginning of the episode when he heard about people flying around and doing this. He's like, are my people actually not extinct at this point? And then the whiplash of learning that it's just a bunch of people kind of riding air currents.
Kind of imitating.
I liked how imitating rather than like being actual airbenders.
Right.
I like how he very quickly noticed that they're not flying.
Yes, like Sokka and Katara, untrained eyes, had no idea, and he like he doesn't even say anything. You just like see him like sit back and like look defeated very quickly. I totally agree with that when he realizes.
I think it's one of those things where he can probably basically see the air,
right,
or feel it or something like that, and he's able to see that it's the currents that they're riding rather than actually making their own. Wind, more or less.
I like just kind of generally this touches on big themes of like tradition versus like industrialization and like progress of technology and what to keep and what to embrace from the future. And it's just really interesting. That also kind of carries into Korra because like they have like a huge industrial revolution between this time and the future. Speaking of just like industrialization, I talked to you last time about recommending Hello Future Me, but I watched a video where he talks about the industrialization within the Avatar universe and how the Fire Nation had like an edge in the war because they were like some of the first people that could utilize like the production of metal because the way they are set up, they're set up on a bunch of volcanoes, which volcanoes typically have large natural deposits like the surrounding islands of like ore and iron and metal and like aluminum and stuff. So they were able to like harvest that and build these like they eventually build like the giant metal blimps. But in this episode, we see the first like hot air balloon with like a metal furnace kind of thing, and so they kind of had an edge over the rest of the world because of that. I mean,
not just that
geographical location.
Their navy, dude. Their navy, honestly, is their it's probably their strongest thing because it's like I mean, you see even with the Water Tribe, both north and south, they're still using like old like wood style boats.
Yeah, Katara and Sokka almost get murked in episode 1 when their canoe gets crushed.
Yeah, exactly. So the it's crazy to think about like literally how out of like they're out in the ocean, which is like you think is like the Firebender's like worst possible spot to be,
right? But they
just
have
surrounded
the
by
edge
water
because
but they have control of it. Yeah.
Battleships, yeah, it's a great point.
Yeah,
it makes a lot of sense when you think about like industrialization during war. Like in war, you're constantly searching for an edge,
right?
And you're pushing to the boundaries, and like we've seen that in our history where a lot of progress is made in a very short amount of time. In wartime.
Yeah.
And the post-war time is actually then super great.
Like a
because
boom.
of that. Yeah. Exactly the same thing happened in the 50s.
Yeah, World War II, post-World War II.
Where we had a massive boom because of all the industrialization that was set up to support the war effort. So it makes a lot of sense. And I do really like how they kind of show that
in Korra.
Mm-hmm.
That's also interesting because I'm thinking also just back. I'm thinking from like my background is like a film and animation, and like the Walt Disney Studio really lacked during war times because a lot of their animators were drafted or they were using their talents to like make wartime ads, I remember. And then after World War II, I think they had like a boom and kind of like another golden age of animation. I forget exactly what movies came out that time. I think I forget when Cinderella was, but I think it was around that time.
I think, yeah.
And I'm thinking also in Korra, like they kind of reflected that as well. Like, cause Bolin was like a movie star post-war, and like the movies were becoming like a big thing, and like art was flourishing post-war time, which I think is just interesting that even down to that minute of a detail, like the core, like the world building is like reflected correctly. I think that's so sick to even think about.
They have like a ton of people at like sporting events.
Yeah,
and it's like
pro bending.
Yeah, it's like culture is coming back. It's not just like a wartime philosophy, which is really neat.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm interested also to see how they take it a step further with it, because I think they're doing another one, the next Avatar, like the Earth Avatar after Korra. I'm interested to see how they progress the world into that. Yeah,
I heard it's going to be closer to modern times.
Oh, really?
I think rumors are it's not quite maybe like right now, but closer to modern times. Where
interesting. We'll see like hip hop in Avatar world.
My computer's not working. Let me just do some electrical.
Yeah, we'll see them like log into like plug into the Wi-Fi, and like that crazy noise pops up and they have to connect for 20 minutes.
Yeah, their modem just starts going.
Floppy disks. Yeah.
They're in the 90s. They got like really interesting hair.
Yeah. They're scared of Y2K happening. All right, but back to the tank, back to the Northern Air Temple. This is a big episode too. Like, there's a pretty freaking huge battle at the end. Like we see like a huge Fire Nation force go after these guys, like the tanks and the army, and then they do all the slime balls. I like that Sokka like uses his strategic mind again. We see some more of that to strategize and also just like help with the engine.
It was really cool seeing him work with the mechanist.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It was a fun time kind of watching them play off of each other and do all their mind bending.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're inventing and stuff like that.
Yeah. I love that term now, mind bending. Whenever you get a good idea,
Mind-bending.
I'm mind bending.
It sounds almost like Jimmy Neutron for some
I was
reason.
just thinking that
Brain
like his brain
blast.
blast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a mind bending trick or ability.
A key detail I really like from this episode is that although the Fire Nation lose the battle, they take the almost
blimp.
destroyed like balloon, like hot air balloon, and are gonna learn from that and like create more
Yeah.
weapons from that. And I like that. That's not necessarily like an entire defeat.
It is absurd how fast they turn those around. Though.
Into
Yeah.
balloons, and also
Go
then the
from
blimps.
a hot air to a
Friggin'
blimp,
the Zeppelins.
which is
Yeah.
totally different.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they're not the same, by the way. They're
Maybe they were already
completely
working on
different.
it or something. I don't know.
I don't know. They're like, oh yeah, this is a great idea. Let's turn this around into a fleet in like 6 months
Yeah.
or something. It's absurd, but it is
Yeah.
it is a good idea. I liked when Sokka dumped the engine or
Yeah.
the furnace into the
Yeah.
crack in the.
He does it without a second thought. It's pretty
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, he really didn't
Sokka's
have time to
first
think
major
about it.
Yeah.
war crime, nuking an air temple.
He
I
just blew a face of a mountain off entirely.
Well, I
Like,
think
it is
also a war
gone.
crime is using like the opponent, and according to the Geneva Conventions, is using like an opponent's like insignia, like against them, and they did that because they had
Oh,
a
yeah,
Fire
that is true.
Nation like, like thing
Yeah.
on them. So Kazaka committed multiple war crimes already in his episode like 16, 17.
The amount of times. So Aang is like super hardcore pacifist. Claims he's like, I'll never kill a fly, kind of.
And then he
kind of
like
person.
avalanches
He
all of
murked
this.
so many people.
avalanches
They're
sends
all
people,
dead.
like down the mountain, just
They're-
off cliffs. Yeah.
Very dead.
He's pacifist until they come to his home turf. Then he's like, all bets
Yeah.
are off.
He's like Monkey Atsu. He's just like murks
Yeah.
them
Yeah, for real.
all at once. It was really fun watching all the airbender or like the air flying people. Not
Air
airbenders.
users.
Yeah,
We'll call them air support.
Air support.
Yeah. When they were flying in and dropping bombs and stuff like that. It was cool watching that and the tactics of
Yeah.
having air support.
They have the
Being
high
able to-
ground.
They do.
The Obi-Wan did.
Katara also it's cool seeing her progression again of waterbending. Like she now takes down like some tanks with ice. Like that's pretty impressive, considering like beginning of this season she couldn't
Yeah.
hold a fish.
It's also crazy to just see her growth throughout. That's a good point, especially when she gets to the freaking
To Paku next
Northern
episode.
Water Tribe. Yeah,
Yeah, let's
like
rank this
that's-
episode and talk about Paku. And
Yeah,
all
yeah.
of them.
Yeah.
All right, what do you guys rank this episode?
I have it down, I think, as a 7.5.
All right.
I'm gonna say 8.1. I think it's just above the Deserter a little bit.
What'd you
I
say,
would agree
Logan?
with that.
7.5.
7.5, yeah.
All right, I'm now the Avatar mediator because I said 7.7, so I'm in between you guys now.
Nice.
Take that, Daniel.
I think this episode we've all been really close together, I think.
Yeah.
Except for
Yeah.
was it the Fortuneteller one?
I
was that
think
14? Yes.
Yeah.
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 Well,
Other than that
and
one,
also
we're all
I was a
pretty
little
close.
lower than you guys on Bato.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, we're finally at the Water Tribe. I think this is a cool couple of episodes. I mean, this first one's called episode 18 is the Waterbending Master. This is a cool group of episodes I was reading in the Art of the Avatar book as well, but because they knew they were going to be here for 3 episodes, they actually had a lot of time and spent more time like fleshing out the locations of this one, like designing like the ice palace and all of that,
Yeah.
because they knew they were going to be here for a while, so they had more time and wanted to make it look good. So I think that's cool, and I think I came across. I really like the design of the Northern Water Tribe, the North Pole.
I always am drawn to the contrast between the North and the South. Like the South is
Yeah.
just like one little circle with
Yeah.
like 10 families, and the North is just like a literal like metropolis. You know.
And they kind of try to remedy that in Korra a bit. Like,
Oh yeah.
Katara's and Sokka's village is not the only thing in the Southern Water Tribe, by the way.
I
oh,
know,
is it really?
but-
Okay.
Oh, is it
No,
not?
it's not the
Oh.
only thing.
Yeah.
There's more. I think it's just a bunch of small villages.
It's okay.
It sounds
Yeah.
like based on how they describe it, but
I always imagine it like Tusken Raiders, where you got like little camps in different
Oh.
spots. And
I thought it was
Yeah,
just Katara's village. I honestly did.
there's not big cities. It's small towns or small villages type of
Gotcha.
thing, and they're all kind of
Spread out,
isolated from
like
each other.
Eskimos.
rural
too.
Pennsylvania.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's the Amish.
basically. Where Northern Water Tribe is
More centralized, like
a
a city.
yeah, like a
Philadelphia.
Oh man.
no, not Philadelphia. Anything but that.
I really like also just the design of the Northern Water Tribe. Like I really like how, again, going back to how you use bending to like build like your infrastructure around you. I really like their system of like aqueducts they use to like, and like canals, since like well, I mean all the Venice like canals, but also the aqueducts, and just like how they freeze and unfreeze water to like raise and lower the levels to like allow boats to come in. Like I think that's so sick, so creative.
Yeah.
They also do something kind of similar, I think, to the earth bending that we saw, where they are like bending the walls of ice together.
Yeah.
They're almost able to use it like earth bending,
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
because it's ice and it's water based.
Which is why I would think earthbending's more cool, because I don't want to live in the tundra and be able to do that.
Well, here's the thing.
You could live in a swamp.
Oh yeah,
Ice-
that's even better.
If you want to get technical with it, ice is a rock.
What?
And lava is water, so yeah.
Yeah.
We
No, Jake, this is an actual thing. Ice is technically a rock.
What?
water is the lava of ice.
Yeah.
Confirmed.
What?
We're lava monsters.
So
We are.
what does that mean? Earthbenders can bend ice?
There might
I don't
be
think so.
I mean, I don't think it.
Maybe that's what we'll see in the
Rome.
next after Korra. That's the next development, like the next like big development. Instead of like metal bending, we'll see like earthbenders bending ice and benders bending lava. I don't know.
I think what we see in when Toph learns to bend metal is that she's bending, or you're bending like
earth.
the minerals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also when she's learning, when she's playing with the meteorite,
Mhm.
she can tell it's like it's got similar minerals in it. So I think it's a lot about that. It's the
Yeah.
minerals. And air,
Gotcha.
you're bending specific elements there too
Yeah.
that are in their gaseous form.
Yeah. What's the science behind everything? All right, I can't get into it right now. All right, so we meet UA. We get Sokka's Immaculate Riz. I was thinking we could do an activity together. We also meet Master Paku. What do you guys think of Paku?
He's a pretty badass master looking
Yeah.
dude. Like his skill with waterbending is impressive.
It's funny to see the comparison of him like now in this episode to like early Sokka as well, which is the sexist
yes.
yeah
I have that exact note. Yeah.
ideology. Yeah, so that's just weird to think about, and then like how they're able to then also get him to come to realization that it's not always about being this sexist a-hole and your traditions and all that. It's like, hey, like, well, I don't want to say like just equality, but also just like opportunity and making sure you're treating people how they should be treated. Going rule in that aspect. That's how I like to view it. But
I'm glad that it happened. I don't like the way that it
Agreed.
happened. That's like my entire beef with this episode is
because it's not that Katara like proves herself. It's because she had his ex-girlfriend's necklace, basically.
yeah,
it's
I
such
can
a
agree with
coincidence, and it would have been, in my mind, better if
more
if
impactful
she
if Katara proved herself. Yeah,
proved herself worthy.
I agree. That is a change I would make.
she kind of is able to do as they teach more, because she earns his respect in the later
She
episodes.
did impress
and
him,
stuff.
I think.
Yeah.
He was impressed, but I don't think the fact
But
that
I completely agree with you guys there. It was
he didn't do it because of Katara. He did it because of Katara's grandmother, which is also just weird.
Grand coming in clutch.
Grand's actual name is Kana.
Kana.
And that was originally supposed to be Katara's name, one of the original ideas, but they weren't sold on it, so then they just recycled it for Grand.
It's a good grand type of name.
Yeah.
Yeah. It feels like it's a century-old name.
Yeah.
It is. And like Hama is also a great old person name.
Oh, let's not begin.
It's from like the same time period.
Yeah.
It sounds like a Gertrude.
Gertrude.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That'd make her less scary Her name was Gertrude.
Oh, that would be. I feel like that'd be very scary.
Yeah.
It sounds like an old witch to me.
You don't want to go up against Gertrude. Yeah, exactly.
I have a great grandma Gertrude.
Oh, did she scare
Who
you?
died before I
Oh.
was born,
Oh,
but
man.
I've heard scary stories.
Oh, jeez.
She
My
had
mom was
bloodbend.
like scared of her.
Oh
or
my
something.
gosh.
It was-
June can bloodbend
Wait,
me.
your mom was scared of
You know
her?
what I'm saying?
What happened with her?
I don't know if she was
there?
like scared, but she was like, she was a strict old lady kind
I
of
see.
grandma rather than like the sweet old grandma type of.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm glad no one heard what I just said.
No, I heard what you said. I just ignored
Okay.
it.
So
But I also concur. So
I agree, but I agree. Yeah, I don't like that big thing like you said about like why Paku eventually caves, but I do love the battle between Katara and
Yeah.
Paku. Like it's really
yeah.
cool seeing like just a waterbending master just kind of toying with Katara, but also seeing how far Katara has come, and also just like some really creative waterbending with like the ice freaking saucers being chucked and just everything they do.
Slow mo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
That was badass.
We don't usually see like waterbender versus waterbender, so I really enjoyed that.
I feel like Katara's like a Sith waterbender here, though. Earlier.
Whoa, what?
Because she draws her power from her anger.
Oh.
Because
That is
think about it, she had like a lot of more. I feel like this was the moment, which makes sense because of the fight, but she had so much control and power and energy that we've seen out of all of her fights so far. This
Yeah.
is like where she had the most of it, and she's also the most pissed at this point. So
I
just
think
like
she learns to be better though in the future when she does get a teacher. I do like
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
like that we're seeing Katara like her personality of like not taking crap from any man and like being told she can't do
Yeah.
something and how that's coming through, and I think that is a trait that Aang would find appealing in like a partner. So I like that we're seeing that
Yeah.
come out in Katara.
Did you notice when at the end of the or not at the end, but like towards the end of the fight when Katara's hair was like falling out
Yeah.
of her usual things? It reminded me extremely vividly of the episode where she's going to get revenge
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
that too. Yeah.
in season 3. It was almost like picture
Yeah.
perfect, like foreshadowing for that kind kind of same anger,
deranged look.
pissed off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sith
like
Katara.
Yeah,
Dude,
I know.
Sith Katara-
That's a really good way of putting it.
Hair down Katara could do stuff to me when she's of age. Of course. Also, I saw the show when I was like 7, so I was of age that time. Like we were both the time. Like it was more okay, I think. Yeah, I'm digging a hole. That's why I'm an earthbender, so I can dig deeper holes. I do want to also shout out, not shout out, but like the pirates freaking try to kill Zuko here, and I feel
Yeah.
like horrible for Iroh because he probably thinks he's lost another
son, dude.
son. And I
Oh
think
my
in
gosh,
the next
yeah.
episode, Iroh like before Zuko goes off on his quest, Iroh says like just like, be careful, and he seems like more emotional than he's ever been with Zuko when Zuko's about to go do something on his own. And I think it's because of this moment, like when something tragic like that you think happens, like Iroh thought he lost another kid, that probably makes him reassess and rethink and like want to say what he's never said to Zuko. So I think that's a very powerful moment that this creates.
When he was on his walk, right? Iroh went out to take a walk, and everyone else was off the ship because they were helping with
Taken by-
the
Right.
siege.
Yeah.
Well, they were taken from them. Even the cook was what Iroh
Yeah,
said. I think
That
He's like,
hurts
even the
me,
cook?
man. Taking the cook, man. Come on.
that's just mean, man.
Yeah.
I
That's
don't know
rough,
why
buddy.
Admirals. We need a that's
rough, buddy, like sound clip. Yeah.
counter.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah,
How many That's Rough Buddy moments this season?
I use that so often in my daily life.
Yeah.
too. Just like that's rough, buddy.
So what do you guys rank this episode, The Waterbending Master?
I actually put it at a 6.
Okay.
Really?
Daniel?
See, I'm comparing it to the other ones, and I feel like 19 and 20 are like they're going to be ranked higher. So I gotta leave room for that. So I'm gonna go as low as a 6. I'm probably gonna do like a 7.8.
All right, I'm the Avatar again. I had 7.2 because I think a lot of this episode I like, and I like how we're seeing, like, I think at the very end we see that big shot of all the fire Navy ships, and it's just like, okay, it's about to get real. Like the finale's coming up, and like seeing that impending threat. But I think and I like the waterbending fight, but I think what drops it down for me a couple points is, again, the reason Paku agrees to train Katara is because of the necklace. That brings it down. Also, forgot to mention, Sokka and Yue's like relationship is starting, and I think it's really cool when they kiss. The moon is framed behind them, like in between them, and I'm like, interesting.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Wait, did they kiss this episode or
they kiss in
19?
I think she gives him like. I think it might be just like a. I don't know if it's like a full makeout, or just like a peck, but they do kiss in this episode, or maybe a cheek kiss or something.
You're right.
Yeah.
But right before they kiss, and when they pull away, the moon is like between them in the frame.
Okay,
I never noticed that.
Yeah.
This makes me bring up a point to what Jake said before, like your question of is there time in between episodes? I think that there is. Well, also because like we see Katara going into the next one, like she's
Yeah, that's true. Katara does.
But
yeah.
But I think that also means that gives Sokka. I think he did the moon. I think he tapped the moon.
All right.
Sokka canonically got some.
He stole the moon.
Got some moon.
Innocence.
Oh Jesus.
All right.
But yeah.
Also, I think this is the episode where. Oh no, this is the next episode where Sokka goes yip. So let's get into the Siege of the North, part 1, episode 19.
We did rank 18. We're good.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yep.
What'd you say, Lug?
I was just gonna say I think 18 is basically a pure setup episode.
Yeah.
Which is just why I ranked it lower. I think.
Gotcha.
It was, along with the Paku stuff, setting up for 18 or 19 and 20 is well worth it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Daniel, time has passed. Katara has developed some skills, and then the Fire Nation invasion begins. Like they have like the soot that snows down.
Sokka immediately knew what that was.
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also get Admiral Zhao alludes to Iroh's legendary failure at Ba Sing Se. We keep hearing a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really cool when Aang takes down that like an entire ship on his own, like the fire, like the first battleship. That's pretty. I mean, and then not entirely on his own. I think the waterbenders come and help at the end, but it just kind of shows his progression from like episode 2 when like he barely escapes on Appa, and this time he's like taking out an entire ship. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really the firebender guys that were basically destroying their own ship.
Yeah, true.
So that was the funny part. They're wrecking their own
that's
ship.
kind of what the deserter taught him to do, or like that lesson he learned, like let them use their own strength against themselves.
And it worked well.
Yeah.
It was such like a little mischievous like type of vibe to it.
Yeah.
Which was funny. Kind of reinforcing that a little bit.
Yeah. But it's also sad to see, like, when he got back, he's like, I took out like dozens of ships, but like he just knew that he couldn't do it. Yeah, which is just it's sad to see somebody who's supposed to be like that embodiment of hope.
Yeah.
Like begin to lose it.
Yeah. But that also again goes back to the support system. Like it's cool that he has Katara and Yue in this episode to like kind of lift him up and be like, it's okay. Like no one really expected you to take down 1,000 ships. Like we need to figure out another way. And then they start strategizing, and then they come up with the idea about the spirit world. And I like that we get all that spirit world talk in here.
Yeah.
Is this the episode where Sokka and what's his face?
Han,
like,
or whatever his name is?
Yeah.
Is that his name? Han? Yeah, Han.
I've eliminated him from my memory.
Yeah.
But, they get in a fight, and then the Water Tribe chief basically he's like, I know that Sokka's a good warrior. I want him to be the one that's protecting Yue rather than Han.
That is cool.
So he selfishly takes him off the thing using the guise of the fight, and is sending him back basically to protect
Yue,
Katara and Yue.
Yeah,
as they're doing their thing.
And then freaking Han just gets destroyed by Zhao.
Oh, he's dead. He just fell
100%.
onto the
long
metal.
time.
Either fell onto the metal thing, like floor below, or if he made it into
either
the water,
way,
he's
dude,
frozen.
that's not a good landing.
That'll hurt.
But one thing I love about the first interaction between Sokka and him is just the amount of experience that you're able to see that Sokka's gained.
Yeah.
Not only from the attacks from when he was a kid,
But just these
from his
few
entire
weeks
trip.
to get up to the North
Yeah.
Pole. Yeah. He's experienced fighting the Fire Nation. Yeah, you were saying, Daniel?
Yeah, no, it's just like exactly that. It's just how much he's been able to see and experience fighting, and then also how it emphasizes how disconnected the Northern Water Tribe has been from everything going on. So I think it was just an interesting way to present that.
They had their outfit from 85 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I
yeah.
agree. That's a good point.
With the pointy things on the shoulders that looked really silly.
Yeah. But yeah, then Aang goes into the spirit world also. And I think it's also, I was reading in that Art of the Avatar book, they talk that like, it's kind of a happy coincidence / they somewhat planned that the spirit world it was nice to get Aang in the spirit world because it kind of broke up tonally it was like different color palette. It was like because the the water tribe has been completely like ice blue and white, and then to get out of that finally into, because we've been there for an episode and a half, to get into the spirit world, which is like a lot warmer and like tons of trees and completely different. It was just kind of an interesting change of pace. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
This is the first time that we see the spirit world. No, like the
Yeah.
true
Well,
spirit
in
world.
full, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, because we didn't really see it in the solstice because he was kind of like in his spirit form, but in the real world still.
Yeah.
Which is interesting that there's like a like close spirit world or something like that, and then like an actual spirit world.
Yeah.
But yeah, seeing the spirit world for the first time in this episode is really, really neat. I love what they did with it. It makes a lot of sense for what they were trying to show.
Yeah.
And it was there's a lot of creepy elements too, which is
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think
for a
that's
kid show.
that's kind of in the next episode. I think this one kind of ends with right when Aang gets into the spirit world, and then Zuko and Katara fight, which is a really cool fight. Like with power shifting between the moon and the sun, and then Aang is captured.
19's the episode where Zuko infiltrates. Jesus, words. Yeah, dude, that always gets me because I'm just like, he literally just like, they have to be getting air from somewhere, but I'm like, dude, they could be like probably like breathing water or air for like underwater for like 20 hours.
He just dives without hesitation into like the Arctic Ocean.
I'm like, bruh, that takes balls.
Yeah, it's like
and then
freezing
he climbs
water.
Upstream.
Yeah.
Like,
he is pure. He's just in his mind. He's like
pure honor driven.
Honor.
Honor. I hardly know her.
And he makes his hand. He doesn't even firebend. He just heats up his hand to like basically push through the one in the last like vent or whatever the heck it is. Yeah, whatever sewage system or something that he gets into, and like in the last second before he runs out of breath, which being able to do that underwater is actually really impressive.
Yeah.
That he was able to heat up his hand in the like ice cold water.
Mm-hmm.
So brings up a good question.
Yeah.
Do you guys think firebenders, if they could learn how to like heat up water so the way it like becomes gaseous in their like lungs or something? Do you think, my point is, do you think they could learn how to like breathe water by oxygenating it by just like, not oxygen, you know what I'm saying?
No. Because if you just heat up water and you are breathing in water vapor, you will die.
Yeah.
I thought there's enough oxygen in water vapor for you to still be able to do that.
Wouldn't it have to turn into boiling water first?
Well, no, like if it's underwater and the only thing that's in the gaseous stuff is water vapor, it's just water in a gaseous form. There is oxygen and air that we breathe, and we don't breathe in the water vapor. So I don't think
he's a rocket scientist. Which cat is behind you right now, Logan?
This is. Oh wait, this is Kai.
Kai.
I am bad at this.
Directions and angles.
Yeah, Kai is over there grooming himself.
Nice, classic Kai.
Blowing in the window.
All right, but what do we rank this first episode of the two-parter?
I'm gonna say 9.3.
Jake, what do you have?
I have 7.8.
Really?
I had 8.0.
All right.
Yeah, I think it's definitely better than the previous episode.
Agreed.
For sure. And it's kind of, we're still building.
Yeah.
But we still have
It's
to
kind
have
of
room
like the
to build.
case of episodes 1 and 2, where like it's the first part of a complete story. But I feel like this one is a better first part of the complete story than the
Oh, for sure.
first episode.
The fight at the end with Katara and Zuko is one of my favorites.
Same.
That's a really cool fight between those two.
I love how the power shifts when depending on like the sun being out or the moon.
The sun comes out.
Sun
Yeah.
will come out tomorrow unless Zhao
Zuko's-
kills the moon spirit. All right, the Siege of the North Part 2. Yeah, we see more of the spirit world. What do you guys think of that spirit with the freaking
Ko?
Ko?
That's it's creepy, dude.
He freaked me out so much as a kid.
As a kid,
and
Oh my
now,
God, me
and
too.
today.
Yeah. That's just
I am still scared
Yeah.
of centipedes.
Yeah. Pretty insane for a
so
kid
weird.
show.
Yeah.
The concept of him stealing faces who make like any
just
sort
piss
of
him off.
emotion.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is
Yeah.
a crazy, scary just idea.
In fact, that Aang barely gets out of that too once he makes the
Yeah.
realization.
He realizes
He's like,
the moon
I must
and
be going
ocean
now.
spirits. Yeah. I literally
like,
thought that was
bruh.
going to be the end of the show for a second when I was a kid. I was like, oh my gosh.
directed by George Lucas.
Yeah.
I think the only reason he was able to do that as well was because
Directed by Dave Filoni.
he was an air monk, air nomad.
Yeah.
Taught by
He's
the monks
disciplined.
and everything to let go of emotion, and he was a master.
True.
Like
That's a
any
great
other
point.
any other nation probably wouldn't be able to do that. And I think Karuk, that might not be true because Karuk fought Ko, I believe, in the past. Because
Who's Karuk again?
He was the previous waterbending.
Okay.
And he only lived to
Avatar.
like 20 something.
Oh.
Yeah, and his wife or girlfriend or something.
Shiruk.
Yeah. Lol. Somehow I don't remember how, but Ko stole her face. That was the woman that we see
Yeah.
shown. That was Karuk's
Interesting.
wife. I'm gonna say.
Can you just like wear a mask?
Does Ko also steal hair? Because he had her hair, but he didn't steal the monkey's
But it was
hair.
just
For
it
that
was like the
faceless
front
monkey
of the
we saw.
hair. So like Katara's hair loopies, I think.
Oh no!
Yeah.
That's her most iconic feature.
But like that brings up a good question. Like legitimately, could you not just like wear a mask and be good?
You can be the blue spirit forever, but could you not see? Because you don't have eyes anymore. You don't have a face. You can't breathe. Like, how do you survive?
No, have it like be like a member like freaking like they can't see in, but you can still see out. Like a Spider-Man thing.
But you might not be able to like take a mask in with you to the spirit world.
Yeah.
Like Aang doesn't have his staff in the spirit
Okay,
world. For example.
fair. But he has
Can you
his
just-
clothing.
Yeah, put his clothes over his face. Oh, that's
true.
I thought you were saying after he steals your face, can you just wear a mask for the rest of your life? That's what I was asking.
No.
That's what I thought you
Again,
said.
we see there like again, he makes an expression, but he's not looking at him, so you can't see his face.
Yeah, can he just
Or
have
else
like one of
I'm
those
assuming
masks from the Deserter episode, like just a neutral mask, and bring that in, or make something? I don't know. Probably not. That's like cheating. This brings the fun out of
Yeah,
the game.
yeah,
Come
it's
on.
cheating, but dude, it's a freaking demon spirit thing. Of course I'm gonna cheat if I can. on.
Anyways, so yeah, I also like, speaking of this, figuring out that the spirits are those like fish. I like how we learn that Zhao found out about the Moon Ocean spirits because of the Great Library he alludes to, and how that comes
Yeah.
back next season. How he stole that info, which is why that
Secret
spirit
library.
no longer trusts people.
Yeah.
One of the reasons.
Yeah.
Or the
Yeah.
the latest reason.
The
maybe.
latest in a long line of reasons. Yeah.
Yeah.
This one does a good job, in my opinion, of also balancing like multiple storylines, because usually it's like the gang in their adventures, and then Zuko. And this one has like Aang in the spirit world, has Yue and Sokka and like Katara. It has Zhao and Iroh, and then like also just keeps flashing to the overall generic invasion, like not following like anyone specifically.
And Zuko carrying Aang as
Yeah.
well
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
for a couple clips. That's what, 5 different ones.
Yeah.
And this is a
Yeah.
22-minute episode. Holy
Freaking
cow.
crazy. Yeah.
And then the panda spirit, Haybat sends
Hey,
Aang
bye.
back.
Hey, bye. Yeah.
Hey, bye.
Hi,
Sends-
Bat.
Sorry, I think I had a typo.
Yeah. Just Batman in the spirit world.
Disrespecting Hey Bye over here.
Yeah, my bad. Dude, Hey Bye looks crazy in the live action trailer, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
Also, freaking, like, I love the beat when Katara catches up to Zuko, and then Zuko's like, here for a rematch. Katara's like, it won't be much of a match. It absolutely smokes him. Like, that was
decimates him.
That was impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, some one-liners popping off.
Katara's a beast.
Also, just the imagery then of
We already knew that.
Zhao taking the moon spirit out and then it all going red. And then when he eventually kills the moon spirit and it goes like gray, like black and white, is freaking haunting.
Oh, that was great because you can only see glimpses of color when Iroh's firebending.
Yeah.
And the color pops.
And also Zhao versus Zuko firebending. And then Yue's eyes has some hints of the moon spirit in it.
Yep.
That's so good.
I love how
just visually really cool.
Again, this is just another case where Iroh too is like, if he's willing to also go against his own nation.
Yeah.
For the right worldly cause.
Yes. He's like, whatever you do, I will unleash tenfold or whatever he said on.
Yeah.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
He unleashed it. That was awesome seeing Iroh like pop off.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like, it feels like two different people. Like, it's like you, and then it's like Iroh stealing like perfume versus the guy she tells you not to worry about. Iroh popping off like in the moon spirit sanctuary.
I'm trying to think of like an analogy of like a character for Iroh, but there's not really much that
like Iroh. Daniel.
Can't really.
Yeah, I keep saying Commander Zhao. Admiral Zhao. No disrespect, Zhao.
No, disrespect him now because he's killed the moon spirit at this point.
Yeah, Captain Zhao.
Gets demoted.
Yeah. That I think if anything, that deserves a demotion.
Yeah.
Dishonorable discharge.
I would agree. But so Zhao, who is a very powerful bender in his own right, trained by Zhao, kind of a beast. Oh shit.
Yeah, not Zhao Zhao.
Zhang.
Yeah.
Very, very powerful bender. As soon as Iroh starts going off, he's like,
He
out.
runs away.
He is
dude.
scared. He's like, I am
As he
not
should
sticking
be.
around to deal with this. All of his goons instantly just dead.
It's like those
all
books we were
gone.
talking about with Momo. Like, the big book is like Avatar, The Last Airbender, and then the small book is like Avatar if Iroh actually wanted to hurt Aang.
Yeah, honestly though. Yeah.
It's cool reinforcing though that Iroh is on the side of, the world, the spirits.
Yes, in balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we saw that initially that he's very in tune with the spirits in the first episode of the Winter Solstice.
Yeah, when he
two-parter.
sees Aang and the Roku's dragon.
Yeah, he's the only one that can see them.
Yeah.
So we already had clued in that he's on the side of the spirits and he can understand and see the spirit world. I don't know if we later learned, but I believe Iroh canonically has gone into the spirit world.
Yeah,
And
I
he's
think so.
traversed it before.
Yeah, because Zhao says something about that too.
Oh yeah.
He says,
okay.
well, he said he heard rumors, but I'm pretty sure it did happen.
Yeah.
I also, just a quick subtle thing with Iroh, I like that when Aang like goes in the Avatar state, for the first time, like I feel like kind of not out of like rage, but kind of out of like necessity and like he seems more in control this time. But he starts wading into the pool to talk to the like ocean spirit or whatever, and
Talk to it.
it's a very subtle thing. But in the back, Katara starts to go in after him, and Iroh just holds up a hand to like ask her to stop and let Aang do this, and Katara just like immediately like obeys. There's no like dialogue like, oh, you're Fire Nation, I'm just gonna go in, but she like kind of like trusts him.
She understands.
And understands, yeah, which I think is very cool. Yeah, then Aang becomes Koizilla.
Badass.
Yeah, dude. Freaking demolishes.
It's just beautiful, like also the black and white, and then that him emitting the blue light.
I love just the way that both Aang and the spirit like are working together here, so that way like again, like just starting off, we get like the Fire Nation soldiers in like that one alley and like the Water Tribe in the other, and they like see like the praise and the fear kind of like from the Water Tribe, and then the Fire Tribe are just like and then Fire Nation, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's just like bam! It's like you're not kneeling to me. Screw you! I just thought that was funny. I always like that.
Yeah.
This is another moment where Aang is murking a bunch of Fire
Yeah,
Nation.
dude, well,
I'm a pacifist.
Arguably,
It was the moon, the ocean
it
spirit.
Could be the spirit, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I like to think that it's Aang.
It's definitely
It's
Aang,
actually
but-
it's definitely Kyoshi inside of it.
Yeah.
In this point, popping off.
Yeah.
I like to think that that's like the original form of the ocean spirit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like the ocean spirit, maybe not like in a watery form, but is a basically a massive,
Like koi?
extremely powerful, some sort of animal. I
Yeah.
don't really know.
Yeah.
But
And then adopted the form of a koi fish to fit into the world.
yeah, it took the form. Like that's what it would look like.
In the spirit
Basically,
world, maybe.
in the spirit world, it would have been a
Interesting, yeah.
massive
Yeah.
Godzilla-like thing or
Yeah.
something extremely powerful, but it decided to take the koi form. I don't know what the moon spirit would look like, but
The moon looks like Yue.
the moon.
Yeah.
Freaking yeah. Then Yue becomes the moon. She gives up
tomb.
herself.
Iroh points it out too. He's the one that
Yeah, I noticed
mentions
that
that
she has
she's
some-
been touched by the moon.
Yeah.
That's kind of gross. um,
Are you saying that koi fish is a groomer? Jake,
groomer,
God.
hardly know her.
okay. Okay.
So also then Zhao and Zuko are fighting, and Aang grabs Zhao, or like the spirit grabs Zhao, and I like that even though they're fighting, Zuko still tries to save Zhao, and Zhao like is too prideful, and we eventually see him later in Korra, but he gets sucked into the spirit world.
Yeah.
Also, we see kind of the hints of Zuko. He's tired at the end of this episode, but when Iroh talks to him, instead of like thinking of what's the next way we can get the Avatar, Zuko listens to him and is like, and rests, which is kind of a callback to the very beginning of this season when Iroh, one of the first thing he says to Zuko is like, "Come inside, a man needs his rest," and he ignores him, but this time Zuko does rest. I think that's pretty interesting.
I didn't even think about that parallel, but yeah.
That's a great full circle moment.
Boy is eepy.
Understandable though.
Yeah.
He just hiked in the tundra for who
Yeah.
knows how long.
Yeah.
Then we get Azula, this final image that we see this season. I think it's a great episode. Action, tons of like philosophy with like the spirits and balance. Season 1 finale. What do you guys rank this one?
Am I going first again?
Sure.
I'm going to say 9.6.
Whoa.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's a finale. It held up everything it needed to do. You get the emotional moments, you get the action moments, and it balances everything superbly well. So
Fair.
that's why I rank it so high.
I would agree with all that. I'm torn. I feel like I can't quite give it a 10, even though I want to, just because I know what is coming in the future. And there's a few episodes in mind that I have that are like already, I know that they're going to be 10s once we get to them. So I think I'm giving this one a 9.5 just because it's so good. It's not quite on the same level when I think back over the whole series of like, these are the best
Agreed.
of the best of the best. So
I agree.
9.5 for me.
I'm doing 9.1 because of those exact reasons. Because I know there's...
Now Logan's the middle. Logan, you're the middle guy.
I am the Avatar.
All right. That's our season 1 recap. Woo. Do you guys have, from this batch, 11 to 20, do you have any favorite episodes or least favorite episodes? I think, I guess we all said that this last episode was our favorite. And I think we said The Great Divide was our least favorite.
Yeah.
I think the Blue Spirit's worth mentioning again. I always look at that as one of the top episodes.
Yeah.
Like not a finale level episode, but it's just one of the
Very
series.
solid, yeah.
It always blows me away at how well it was
agreed.
done.
Yeah.
Again, Dave Filoni.
Yeah. The man. This was also
One of the best.
This is the last time we'll see Dave Filoni working on Avatar, because after this he was hired for Clone Wars. The finale was the last thing he directed.
Dang.
Bye, Dave. Thanks for doing Clone Wars. Yeah, any last thoughts on book 1 as a whole now that we've reviewed everything?
I think it did a great, really phenomenal job of setting up the world building. We started at the bottom, like literally the South Pole, and we went all the way up to the North Pole, hit a ton of stops in between in this traveling show, which again is extremely impressive that they were able to pull off a travel show with every episode was a new scenery, basically.
Yeah.
Setting up.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, have you seen usually like they go from the south to the north? Have you seen? I think someone charted on like the Avatar map, like every season, like the path the gang took. And like season 1 is like they go pretty much south to north and with like a couple stops like along the way, but it's a pretty direct path. Season 2 is like they go to the Earth Kingdom and they bounce around a lot in the Earth Kingdom. And season 3 they're like all over the place. Like it looks like a kid just scribbled on the map because they're like going everywhere.
Yeah. They make like a quick. I remember in the season 3 they make like a really fast jump all the way over to like Kyoshi Island and then back in like the same episode.
Yeah.
When Aang was imprisoned. It's like that was just an episode.
Yeah.
They just happened to be traveling a ton.
What do you think of season 1?
So.
Daniel?
I love it as a season. It sets up everything else that's going to come. And it embodied everything that the show is meant to be on a fundamental level.
Yeah.
Like it sets up the themes, sets up the way that the stories are being told, it sets up the fighting styles. Like it is concise. It's cohesive in how it's getting everything built in together. It's just great. Just as a world, again, I'm always going to be a sucker for world design. It just sucks you in, and you want to be in that world.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I think I said at the beginning of this review, like last week, that book 1 is my least favorite, and it definitely still is. But I enjoyed going back to this and rewatching it way more than I thought I would. Like I think when I was going back, I was like, I gotta get through. I was going with the mentality like gotta get through book 1, but like going back and like really analyzing everything that it has to offer, it really pleasantly surprised me, and I really enjoyed it. There were some fantastic moments, and I definitely think like breaking it out into like 2 chunks, like episodes 1 through 10 and 11 through 20, I think there were a lot more moments I remember from the first 10 episodes, but I think these last 10 episodes had consistently like better episodes, as if they had kind of like found their groove and like were just getting overall quality was like rising, and I think they carried that into season 2 and 3 very well. So I really enjoyed this.
I think they really started finding their groove at right around the winter solstice episodes. The first, like towards the end of the first half, season 7 and 8, or episode 7 and 8.
Yeah, I think it's a fair assessment.
What do you guys rank this season, just out of 10, I guess? Book 1.
I'll give it an 8.5.
I was gonna say 8.
That's about what I was gonna say. I was gonna say 8.4. So yeah.
I kind of want to, if you guys are down to just very quickly discuss the Netflix trailer that came out like a week and a half ago or whatever, and kind of break it down, get your thoughts on it, and also maybe discuss like what you think they might cut from season 1 now that we reviewed it, and like what they will include. So what do you guys think of the trailer overall?
I think the trailer looked well done. Like I'm excited. I think it's the different clips of the different bending that they had in general seemed really well done, and I liked what they were going with for the styles of bending, and the movement, the characters, and world building as well. I'm very excited to see what they do.
Daniel?
Yeah, I think it's well said. I also think, I also agree that was really well done, and it's gonna, like you were saying before, it's gonna be interesting to see what they cut out of book 1.
I think they'll cut the Great Divide, Imprisoned.
Do you know
Yeah.
how many episodes it's gonna be?
It's 8. I actually have the names of the episodes as well.
Only 8. Okay, that's interesting.
Oh wow, they really got to cut.
So these are the
Yeah.
rumored titles. I think they're confirmed now, but when I was looking at the Reddit post, it was rumored. But episode 1 is called The Last Airbender. Episode 2 is called Warriors. Episode 3 is called Omashu. Episode 4 is called Into the Dark. Episode 5 is called Spirited Away. Episode 6 is called Masks. Episode 7 is called The North. And episode 8 is called Legends.
It sounds to me like they're skipping basically from
Omashu.
they're hitting the winter solstice, and then they're skipping like the waterbending scroll, Jet, the Great
The
Divide.
Southern Water Tribe.
But no,
The
we're still
Storm.
getting Jet because he was in the trailer.
Oh, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Maybe he's included in Warriors.
Could
Maybe
be.
Warriors, they're
Maybe.
combining Kyoshi Warriors and Jet.
That's possible. I think they're definitely cutting Great Divide and probably waterbending scroll and maybe Fortuneteller.
How long are these episodes?
Like an hour. Yeah, they might cut. I think they'll cut Fortuneteller.
Fortuneteller, maybe Bato.
So no, we're getting about the same. So because if you think about it, like these episodes are like 20 minutes, right? There's
And I
20.
think the Avatar episodes are like 50 to 55 minutes, something like that.
Yeah. So
yeah,
if
maybe
you
they're
say
just
like an
combining
hour
them.
times
Yeah.
8,
Lumping,
that's
you
like
know, two.
24 episodes per se. If it was in the 20-minute format.
Yeah,
So times
so
it by
maybe they're
3.
just combining things.
So-
Like Spirited Away might be like the winter solstice. Instead of part 1 and part 2, it'll just be combined or something.
Yeah.
Probably.
Masks might be the blue spirit and the storm. combined.
Yeah.
I could see that.
The North is probably all the Northern Water Tribe stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm wondering if Warriors will include Warriors of Kyoshi, imprisoned like Haru,
Yeah.
as well
Yeah.
as Jet. Like if they can fit all three of them
Right.
together. I want to know if they're gonna get the Southern Air Temple episode 3 into the first episode.
I think
They're
they
gonna be
could.
able to get all the way there. Because to me, it's a very important episode to have.
Yeah, me too. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how you meet Momo too.
True, they
Yeah.
do need to meet Momo. So
I'm wondering
Yeah,
where
I'm
they're
very
gonna
interested.
do. Maybe Into the Dark might be when he starts learning firebending. I don't know, or maybe that's Jet showing like the dark side of the war, what it's done to people.
Could be. Yeah.
I don't know.
yeah, we'll see.
Man,
I'm very excited to see what they do,
Me too.
how they rearrange. I'm wondering if, because most of these episodes don't necessarily need to be in the given order that they are. in.
True. Yeah.
A lot of them could be kind of switched around a little bit.
Yeah.
And something I heard, but I don't know if it's confirmed or not, was they aren't in the Winter Solstice episode. They're not setting a deadline of the Sozin's Comet.
Oh.
So there's not necessarily like we have to defeat the Fire Lord in a year from now.
Really?
Or 6 months or whatever. They're leaving that a little bit open to allow for the cast to grow up a little bit
That
as
makes
they're
sense.
in kind of other live action shows do something similar where it's letting their cast grow with
Yeah.
the show a little bit.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And they're trying not to put an artificial deadline in there that they have to.
Maybe they can just say like before
somehow
Sozin's
meet.
Comet, and like they don't know when that is or something.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, maybe they'll have to figure out when that.
Yeah, maybe
is.
that's they'll tie that in to the Great Library next season. Like they find
Yeah.
out
I can
about
see that.
when they're finding out about Sozin's Comet, they also happen upon the what's it called?
The Day of Dark Sun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the eclipse.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at us. Put
Which
us in the writers'
to me
room.
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. All right. I'm excited about the trailer. Like, I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm hopeful, but cautiously optimistic. I think it could be cool. They proved they already can say "ang" correctly, according instead of "ang."
Yeah.
I really liked. I mean, in the trailer we saw Jet, we saw Boomy, we saw going into the Avatar state, which looks really cool. We're seeing a lot of the Fire Lord already in the trailer, which we talked about before, but like before this we started recording, you said, Logan, like I think it's interesting because usually he was like kind of silhouetted in the original
We
show,
never see him in the first
Yeah.
the first book.
which I kind of like that he was kind of
you can hear
shrouded
him.
in mystery.
Yeah.
And same with Azula. Like Azula is not really seen in the first season, but I know she was cast, and we see at least one clip of her in the trailer, so that might also be changing.
I'd be interested if they add Azula into a little bit more of like the flashback type of thing.
Right? Maybe they'll
Could
flesh
be,
out the Agni
yeah.
Kai flashback or something.
That would
do
be
that
interesting to
type of-
see.
Maybe she's one of the archers.
I really like the look. Uncle Iroh looks really like
Yeah.
Yeah.
perfect.
I like that actor.
The casting for that. Yeah, he's a great actor.
Yeah.
I forget his name off the top of my head, but I know.
Yeah, same. I
I've
think
seen
he's in
other-
Kim's Convenience, and he's in Mandalorian as well.
Oh yeah, he's
The
the
rebel pilot.
the old pilot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Do you have any other last minute thoughts on the Netflix trailer or anything?
I'm crossing my fingers.
Yeah.
Ditto. Yeah. I just hope we don't get another like freaking Halo series situation
Yeah.
going.
I mean, the bar is low, which we're going to be talking about next week. Next week we're coming back and we're talking about the M. Night Shyamalan, The Last Airbender movie.
Yeah.
So subscribe for that. All right. You ready for patron shoutouts?
Yeah, hit me with them.
Cue the Stars music. Boost, patron Lori, Frank, Rick, Lisa, Evan, Tony. Thank you so much for pledging the tier. You can see the shout out and click the supporters over on Patreon. Link is down in the description. Get the audio episode early, special benefits, perks, all that jazz, and more. Thank you seriously, sincerely to our patrons supporters. All right, ready for cool comments.
Yeah, what are people saying now?
I need to find another TikTok comment that's not the Cars 2 one, because I thought that one was funny. All right, 2 hours ago, bro, Cars 2 was the best. Just another random Cars thing. One day
Someone is
ago,
a big Cars fan.
dude, these are people. We posted this TikTok not last. We posted this October 2022, and to this day, still get comments about people defending Cars 2.
What?
I'm just a regular guy who said it's not better than Lightyear. Like Cars 2 is not better than Lightyear, which I don't know. They're both pretty bad. Like I kind of want to watch both of them and see which one.
So you like compare?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just like reading because people are getting like arguments in the comments. Like I'm reading just part of the way in someone's argument. Queso's brother wrote, "Spy is involved because someone is sabotaging races." So now they're just explaining the plot in the comments of our TikTok of Cars 2. So that's interesting. All right, thank you for those comments. Keep them coming, Cars 2 fans. Logan, anything you want to shout out again this time?
Shout out the Ocean Spirit.
Yeah,
I
MVP.
think I shouted last time was Roku. I'll give it to the Ocean Spirit this time. That was
Hell yeah.
pretty beast mode, pun intended.
Yeah. All right.
I thought you were gonna shout out Kai, but he's gone now.
No, he's up there still
He's just
sleeping.
embarked.
He is?
Encased in
Embarked?
light.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
likes it up there.
All right. Daniel, ready for the introduction?
Yeah, tell me when.
When?
We just talked about what we want to talk about. Now we're done. Blank.
Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. We really sincerely appreciate it. We'll be back next time with the last Airbender live action movie. And then the show comes out. See you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Peace.